Visual balance and visual hierarchy are both important to map design. In this example here, we can see what we mean by visual balance. By visual balance, we mean putting all of the different map elements, such as the main map, the title, the perhaps the legend and the scale bar, in a way that looks balanced and pleasing. Sometimes centered, sometimes just a balance on the page itself that most people see when they look at the left side here, but don't see as much when they look at the visual balance on the right hand side here. As an example, one way to think about this is you start out with a lot of available space. Of course, you have to put the map itself onto the map, but then you have other available space where you can put, for example, the title, maybe a north arrow. You have these different places, and then you just sort of move things around until it looks visually balanced. In this case, they chose to put the title at the top, the map in the center, to fill up this major white space here, available space, with the legend, and then this available space down here with the scale bar. And if they did want to put on a north arrow or similar, or some other logo or something, that other space is available here where something else could go if required. And a lot of this is just kind of playing with the different map elements, resizing some or others until you find a balance that you like. So in this example here, it includes the map of Cuba, it includes a world map showing where Cuba is, it includes some text that's not yet filled in, and a box here where maybe there'll be a picture or something else. And there's all different ways to arrange these. You can see that some of them do look a little unbalanced. I wouldn't say this is a very well balanced one. I am seeing some balance here, but this kind of looks a little crowded to me. I like how kind of that curve follows the curve of the map, but this box here looks unbalanced to me. And this one probably is the best balance, where we have the explanation down here, the map here, the locator map, the figure, and then the map title up here. So a lot of times this is just something that you need to play with in order until you feel happy with it and feel like you've achieved a good visual balance. Visual hierarchy is different. Visual hierarchy is what comes to the foreground of your map. What is the most bold? What is the salient or the most important message that people should be getting from your map? And in this map here of where mobile homes are in California, we can see how it's improved with better visual hierarchy. Some things that they've done here, they've decreased the width of the lines for the various counties here. They've made the scale bar smaller. They've made the title larger, and they've changed the range and the shades of gray that are shown in these graduated circles here in order to show where the most mobile homes are per county in California. So all of those things are changing, and in the end, I think we get a map where it's very apparent on this map where the most mobile homes are per county, whereas on this map it might take a little more searching around and comparing before that was determined. And also here, the information you really need, like the size of the circles, is right up front, whereas here maybe you're looking more at the outlines of the counties because they're such thick lines. This is an example with a lot going on, but great visual hierarchy from National Geographic. It's showing the March to Gettysburg and back during the Civil War, and by varying things like the thickness and the transparency of the arrows, they're able to show, for example, where different regiments versus the entire infantry went during marched during these battles, and really kind of works out nicely as far as showing what those patterns are on what could otherwise be an extremely complex map. So with visual hierarchy, one way to think about it is really like a hierarchy. Like you have your stuff at the bottom that you don't really want the reader to notice that much, or the map user, and then you have the stuff right at the top where you want the attention to be drawn to. So in this example here of this map of Cuba, we can see that certain things are highlighted, such as where Cuba is. That's the highlighted land. There's also water around Cuba that's highlighted as water. But then there's all this other water on the outside, which is not really of interest to this map, and it's taken back into the background by using a lighter shade of blue there. So in this case here, a lot of things are playing in here: the water, the land, and other things. But one thing that really enters in here as well is the text or the labels. So in this example here, the example on the bottom is what I would say is not a good example of visual hierarchy on a map with respect to labels. We can see that we have our labels for our lakes, which look almost identical to our labels for our states here, and also the labels for our cities like Chicago look very similar to the labels for our states as well. So all of this labeling here looks the same, but we can really establish a visual hierarchy here by changing some of that labeling. So we're not as interested in labeling the states, but we want that to be quite legible. So we make that a lighter brown label, and it kind of fades into the background with the color of the states there. But then using the black labels for the cities, they really kind of pop out. So we can clearly see where Chicago is here, Milwaukee, and we see really of what we saw in that last map, those are the only two cities in this entire area here. And then the lakes get a blue text in order to match the outlines of the lakes shown on the map here. And they are also kind of follow the pattern, the area of the lake, in order to kind of span the lake and show where those lakes are located. So in a lot of ways that they're playing with the visual hierarchy here, especially with that black font in order to make the cities jump out. The cities also have the brown area around them, so it's really highlighted where the center of the city is, and the labels are really associated with that location.